I am Sean Kaiser. I'm going to tell you how we deployed about 1,400 machines with a team of 6 people in 3 weeks using different deployment tools that you probably all heard about: DeployStudio, Munki, DeployStudio, Puppet, so that stuff. So, who am I? I am the Systems Integration Specialist for Northmont City Schools in Southwest Ohio. We're a K-12 district with about 6,000 students. Kind of evolved. When I first started, there were 3 of us in our department. Now there's a total of 6 of us. We have a different support person in each building. There's also the librarian. We also have in our high school a dedicated person. So we have to do a whole lot, but not a lot of people. So we want tools that will help us out to do that. So on the server, network, Mac, Google Apps domain administrator, I'm also the kind of back-end support person as far as help desk tickets and stuff. Yeah. All right, so what this session is not, I am not going to tell you how to run DeployStudio, how to set it up, or anything like that, or how to set up the luggage, or how to use it, or Munki, or Puppet, or redeployed. What I will show you is how I configure all of those things to help us deploy 1,400 machines with, as I mentioned before, 6 folks. While we were doing our regular daytime jobs, because we did this during the school year before Christmas. So, a little bit of background why we did this. We had old machines, iBooks, G3s and G4s, eMacs, some iMacs with 15-inch CRTs, and some of the flat panel, I don't know if we had any G5 iMacs, but some of the early Intel iMacs. Pretty much the latest OS we had was 10.5. Some places we had 10.6, but as we get ready for mandated online state testing, we needed new machines to be able to support the apps for those tests. So why did we do this during the school year? Good question. Apple was able to cut us some pretty good deals if we did this during their October to December quarter. I'm not really sure what was special about that quarter, but they told us if we could do that, we got a better deal. We have a warehouse, which is where our office actually is, but it's district's supply warehouse. So to take a lot of space for machines and store them for 6 months until the summer wasn't really an option. So we had to do this whole project essentially during winter break. We got ready for it before winter break, and we actually deployed the machines over winter break. And we had about 2 months from the time I found out about the project until we actually got ready to go. So I had to learn Puppet, or we were running Puppet. I had to learn once we get it set up and get all the other pieces up and running. So, deployment numbers. Back 12.5 years ago when I started, when we deployed machines, we manually installed everything we had on it, which worked. It was slow, but it worked. Obviously, for 1,400 machines, that wouldn't work. Then we moved to FireWire target disk mode, created kind of a golden master image, pushed out with some cool disk utility or ASR. Then we moved into net booting, and we started using NetRestore initially, and we graduated to DeployStudio because of customization options, being able to put scripts in and so forth. Then we kind of started this change from the monolithic or golden master deployment model to modular deployment, meaning installing some management tool on the machine and then letting that tool take care of all the application stuff. And that's where we're at this point. Obviously, Golden Masters have their spot. In our situation, we have enough different configurations, even though we have the same hardware now, we have different configurations to maintain a whole bunch of different images, kind of unwieldy. So as I mentioned, right, about 2 months from the time I found out about this project until we were going to be going. So I had a lot of different things I needed to get going. We use web help desk in our district. I customized some of the asset fields to include things for Puppet back when we first started using Puppet to kind of manage the machines from the interface that our technicians use, keeping everything on the spot. Modifying DeployStudio to get things, within it, or the modular deployment options set up. Using the luggage, Munki, as I mentioned, Puppet, we already had Puppet up and running, but we needed to kind of tweak it a little bit, reposado. And then obviously we needed to get the machines. So all of that in 2 months. So let's start at the beginning here. With web help desk, these are the fields that we were using, or the custom field, the top section here, not including the Munki options, were different Puppet classes that we had set up to do software install. So everything we had before, we were installing in Puppet. Puppet does a really good job of installing an application the first time. But I didn't find it very easy to get Puppet to install software updates. So for the, 2 years or so that we had Puppet, we were installing the same versions of software for 2 years. We were still running Firefox 3.6.29, I think, and a lot of old software. We were running into issues there, so we did get switched over. But
these fields here were like machine fields in web help desk then?
Yeah, these are assets. Asset custom fields. Yep. We were still running the default front-based database with web help desk, which we were having to restart the server once every couple days to a couple times each day, because of every time Puppet ran, it queried the help desk to see what it was supposed to do, and that was causing performance issues. And then I also needed to once I figured out what the issues were, we installed a new server, converted from front base to MySQL to get better performance. After I did that, I needed to refactor my lookup scripts so that it query MySQL instead of front base, which actually turned out to be pretty interesting. Then in DeployStudio, I had to update an existing workflow that I think was installing 10.6, maybe, I don't remember now, to move it up to 10.7, so that for some older machines that we didn't want to put 10.8 on, you could re-image them with kind of a base image, just the OS, and then it would install our management tools as well. Create a new workflow for Mountain Lion. At the time it was 10.8.2. Just in case as we deployed our management tools, if something broke, we had to fall back, we could re-image the machine back to 10.8.2 or go that way. Had to create a new netbook image so we could actually boot these new machines because we didn't have any machines newer than about 2 years old at the time. So I had to get one of the MacBook Pros early, so I could create a netbook image with DeployStudio for that. Then I created our new workflow for our modular deployment, which we call Northmont types. Everybody seemed to like that moniker. Our full imaging workflow, it lays down that kind of base image, and then it does the Northmont modular deployment installation on top of that. So the Northmont workflow, there's a whole bunch of different steps. I set the time server to look at our OD server so that everything stays synchronous. Look at or set the computer name from the help desk. Again, everything that we set comes from the help desk. Bind it to D, install Factor and Puppet and their configuration files. During the initial Puppet bootstrapping, Puppet checks in with Puppet Master about once an hour, or once a minute, I'm sorry. Just in case the server is kind of overloaded, I don't want to have to wait very long for it to pull down the things soon. Create a couple of local accounts, install munki, enable ARD. I have a script that looks up which wireless network the machine should be on, whether it's a student machine or a staff machine. Set that up. Do a hard drive split, which I'll talk about in a minute, and then set munki bootstrap during the machine. And all of these are post-honed installs. I don't like to install anything when I'm actually not booted from, or booted into DeployStudio. Some things don't install well when they're not installed on the boot drive, so I just postpone it. And that workflow takes about 2 minutes. So from the time I get the machine out of the box, plug it in, boot it up from DeployStudio, log into DeployStudio, run the workflow, we're about 2 minutes in it at this point. Slow reviews. The first boot process, when it actually goes through all those steps of doing everything, takes about 5 minutes. The longest part being splitting the hard drive. You split the hard drive into 2 partitions, 200 gigs for the boot partition, for applications, OS, so forth. At this point, it's way too much. You don't need 200 gigs because we're not really installing that much. But for future compatibility, we had a 500 gig drive. We said, let's go and make it 200 gigs, just in case we ever decide to install a creative suite or anything like that. The rest of it gets partitioned as user HD, which the script checks what the UUID is for that partition, sets it in. That's the FS tab to mount that /users. The nice thing about the script is if we reimage the machine, the user data is on a separate partition, so we don't have to worry about backing their data up before we image. The script is smart enough to look at to see if the drive's already been partitioned once. If it is, or has been, then it just skips over that part, sets the FS tab so it mounts it back at the right spot after it. Alright, so that was DeployStudio and getting all that part set up. The next part was using the luggage to repackage installers. Pretty much the only thing that we install that we have to repackage is Flash. And we're pretty fortunate we don't install a whole lot of third-party apps. I've got a slide later on showing what all we actually install. But you could use it to customize other installations, create an installer package. And then we built our printers, we install printers via packages as well, payload with packages. So there's a script for which is kind of like, I think it's doing an LP add, or LP admin add. Alright, so when we got started on this, we were installing Adobe Reader, Chrome, FileMaker Pro for some users, Firefox, Flash Player, Google Earth, and SketchUp, iLight, some of our local users, Office, and Updaters, Puppet de facto installers, some services, making sure Puppet was running, make sure remote login was enabled, and VLC, kind of as a Swiss Army knife for video for that. So that was all in Puppet before we started this process. I decided that everything application-wise was going to get remote. The local users and services, because those are kind of the configuration of the machine, I left in public. I like to say Puppet is defining the state of the machine, and Munki is defining the state, or is managing the applications and versions. So then, once I knew what I was going to move out of Puppet into Munki, I had to disable what we were doing in Puppet. That worked Puppet for a short period of time for old machines if you were imaging them, but that was a trade-off we were willing to have. Didn't take, at this point I was maybe a month out from taking delivery of the new machines, starting to roll things out. So we were okay with, if we needed to re-image the machine, kind of, one off, just installing applications on it. And then I also manage the Munki services and the preflight script for Munki, which we'll see the script in a couple minutes, where kind of configuration on the fly of the different objects. So if you've never seen Puppet before, this is how we're managing the Munki services. There's 4 different services that run for Puppet. I'm telling it, make sure that it's enabled and running. And then I've got the preflight script where I say make sure that that file is on the server. Where to pull it from on the Puppet server. So what was left for Puppet to manage? I've already talked about the users. We have 2 administrator accounts, one for our technology department and then one for the building support staff. And then we have an non-admin, no password student account as well. That way if the servers are down, they can't log into their accounts, so they can just log into the project. Services, I make sure that remote login, which is SSHD, is running. I like to SSH into machines and box instead of taking control of the machines via remote desktop. Puppet, making sure the plist, the launch plist, and the services, the plist is there and the service is installed. Same thing with Munki, and then the Munki preflight, and I also have a Puppet launch daemon restart script that stops and restarts, stops and starts the launch daemon. And then it was time to learn about Munki. I had heard a lot about Munki. I had gone through the lab, that hacking things last year with Nate. So I kind of, done a little bit with it, but I've never actually configured it, never run it, or anything else. So I needed to learn. Craig Nagel wrote a series of, I think it was 4 articles in MacTech magazine a few years ago. Found those, read through those. Read through the Munki wiki. I actually saved the good part of the wiki as PDF files and read them on a flight to Las Vegas, which nothing like going on vacation and learning about Munki. I had a timeline and I needed to keep it. So we had to decide what software to install and how to install it. With Munki, there's a couple choices. You can install it as a managed install, meaning Munki's just going to install it no matter what, or an optional install, where it's kind of if you're in the Casper world, it's self-service idea, where the users can decide if they want it to install it or uninstall it. And then attended or unattended, whether the users have to do the installation themselves or Munki runs in the background if they don't take care of it for them. I like to run things mostly as unattended installs as possible. That way the machines just kind of update themselves, the users don't have to do a whole lot of intervention and interaction with the machines. Then I had to design my manifestors. I don't know if you were in Nate's. Yes, sir. Yeah.
My understanding.
They've asked me to record it.
My understanding My understanding of the Munki players provides installs
installing flash updates without users being users logged in. Right.
Thank you.
And one of the, speaking of the blocking apps, if you're installing like an iMovie updater through Munki will say this is an iMovie update. It will automatically not install the iMovie journey. You don't have to add it to the blocking apps. Something like Flash, the Safari journey, the Firefox journey, you want to add those to the blocking apps. All right, so the manifest groups. Yesterday, I don't know if anyone was in Nate's More Monkey Tricks session. He was saying he recommends actually creating manifests for each machine. I didn't want to have to do that, at least not yet. Eventually, maybe, but to get 1,400 machines out the door, I wanted to group them as much as I could have, as few configurations as possible. So I went with kind of back to this slide or graphic. Teacher, student, lab, student services, which are IE teachers, so forth, and then tech. Break it down by those groupings, and then I also break it down by building. So a teacher machine at one of our schools may have a different printer, would have different printers than a teacher machine at another school. Our student services group gets FileMaker Pro for the IEP program that they use. So I kind of took it down to the least common denominator as much as I could, but then I have these 4 or 5 groupings per building. We have 6 elementaries, high school, middle school, 2 administrative offices. So even though I wanted to minimize my manifests, I still have about 40 or so different manifests that I'm making. So once I had designed all this stuff, I still needed to actually build my Munki configuration. And I was on Twitter, I happened to see on Twitter Greg Nagel was talking about a program called MunkiAdmin. And I thought, well, Greg, who wrote Munki, is talking about MunkiAdmin. Probably something I want to check out. So I went out and found it. And it is a very nice GUI tool to manage Munki. This is the packages view. Shows you all the different packages that I got in our Munki installation. So far, I'm not taking anything out. Eventually, probably will, because Adobe keeps updating Flash. Reader and Java updates keep coming out, so eventually I'm going to want to pare this down a little bit. This is what one of the packages info windows looks like. This looks like Flash. Tells you which version, unintended install or not, whether it's uninstallable, which is default, so I leave that. Catalogs, production and testing. So far I don't have anybody in the testing group. That's something I want to get to eventually. So far when I get ready to roll things out, it goes on very quick. And then it installs a receipt. Obviously, because I'm using Puppet or Luggage to repackage Flash, it shows up as one of my packages instead of Adobe. This is what it looks like if it's just a drag and drop installer, like Google Chrome. It shows that it's installing an application. There is no actual receipt to check. Then the catalogs. Again, this is a full list of applications that are packages that I've got. You can see that Adobe Flash, I've only got one version, and active in inspection, catalog, Adobe Reader, so forth. And then all of my printers. Then we get to the manifests. list of manifests down the side here. You can see high school lab, high school student, high school student services, high school teacher. So there's the four different groupings for high school. Within that, I'm installing these 6 packages. One of the nice things I like about MunkiAdmin, and it's very easy to just, when you're adding a package, you can say install this title versus this version. You can tell it to install a specific version, but which I did initially, and then when I tried to get an update to push out and it didn't push out, I realized, wait, I told it to install Firefox 19 and now we're on Firefox 21, and why is it going out? So now, when I do my installs, I just say Chrome. Install Chrome. It tells me there's 2 matching packages. It installs the latest version, but it can based on the catalogs. And then in optional installs, these are the things that show up when you get optional installs. Like check the box to install Chrome. Then we come to the preflight script. In my opinion, the preflight script is a very integral part of how this whole process works, and we'll see why as we move on here. But I use, again, the help desk to pull out the building and the monkey roll from the field I showed you. I put those together, and that becomes the manifest that I assign to the client via the client identifier. I also set the catalog URL for the software update view list and disable schedule checks because I don't want the machine to pop up and say, hey, there's Apple software updates. Our users aren't administrators of the machine, so I don't want to bother them with that. I don't want you to take care of the Apple software updates, which doesn't require an administrator password. And again, this gets installed as part of that Northmont size workflow. This is kind of the first iteration of the preflight script, and I apologize that it's very hard to read on the screen there. I've got a link at the end to pull up because I was kind of hoping to have one of the bigger screens, but they stuck with the small one. But basically, it's showing going out, checking the help desk for the data, doing some parsing, taking out that monkey underscore off the name of the field, and then setting the various preferences. Then Reposado. We wanted to do Apple software updates internally because of bandwidth. We are a school, as I'm sure other education folks know, bandwidth is super cheap. We are lucky enough to have about 200 megabits per second out of our high school to our ISP, but we only have 20 meg links between our outlying buildings and the high school. So if we had a whole building doing updates, we could quickly saturate those things. And we wanted to be able to control what updates were doing. Maybe we, 10.8.3's out. I don't have 10.8.3 enabled yet. I'm still only pushing out 10.2 to kind of stay a version behind and so forth. But how do you manage Reposado? It comes with a command line tool, repo util, which I'm very comfortable in the terminal, but when it comes time to get things set up quickly, I want something that I can check boxes. Or there's a web interface, which is called Margarita. Problem with Margarita is there's no authentication. So anyone that can hit your Margarita site could, on their own, decide what version of Apple software updates you're pushing out. So you can secure that otherwise. I run it on a non-standard port, kind of the security through obscurity model. Not the greatest idea, but at this point it's about all we can do. There are people that are working on getting some sort of authentication for you. I'm sorry? it's not running through Apache. It's running its own signal. That was my thought as well. This is what Margarita looks like. Lists all the different Apple updates. As you can see, I have DeployStudio running once a day to go out and check Apple updates. I don't have any of the recent updates enabled yet. But as you can see, there was an update to the Chinese word list down at the bottom, and Apple has deprecated it. It's not sitting on Apple servers anymore. DeployStudio captured it when it came out. It's sitting on my server, but it's deprecated on Apple server. And Apple is pushing version 1.6. Maybe I want to say a version behind. I can say enable 1.5 for my production branch and 1.6 for my testing range. So now I've got everything, all the services kind of up and running. We're feeling pretty good. Now it's time to start taking delivery of all the machines. 1,250 MacBook Pros and 5-packs, 60 of the last model widescreen iMacs, which are education only at this point, which take up quite a bit of space. So, our warehouse manager was not very happy with us at all. Even though we told him how much stuff was coming, I'm not sure he really realized until the stuff got there how much room it was actually going to take. Some of it stayed in the warehouse, some of it we have a kind of secure cage area that we unskidded and stacked it up. We couldn't get in there to work it all. Then we have the inventory. Inventory is very, very important in doing a deployment like this. We got a barcode scanner, so we can type in serial numbers, MAC addresses, both Ethernet and Wi-Fi. Thankfully, Apple puts all of that information on the outside of the shipping boxes. Scan that all into a spreadsheet, and then we added the asset number, client name, the case of the teacher machine, location, building name, room, which wireless network it was going to be on, which monkey roll it was going to be. Added all that to the spreadsheet and then imported it into the help desk. Then, as you can see, that was our imaging workstation. A couple folding tables underneath the mailboxes in our warehouse. We didn't have a lot of room. And we weren't going to carry 1,250 machines upstairs to our office. Maybe we had more room, but we were just going to get it. Bus drivers, because we actually work in the bus garage area, bus drivers came through and said, "What are you guys doing?" So we got DeployStudio running. It takes about 5 minutes. Then Monkey Bootstrap fires up. Took hours to get that first Monkey Bootstrap running. And all the other users in our building were complaining about poor network performance. Our VoIP phones were crackling. I'm not sure why. Yeah. No, I'll say it's old.
Probably the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You talked about the network going down, and
There you
there's
go.
two.
All right. Well,
So you can step out the door and walk right up there.
all right. So anyway, Bootstrap took hours. Users were complaining about speed issues. Our VoIP phones were crackling. Everything was bad. Yes, sir. Okay, bootstrapping is the process of Munki will run on its own schedule, which it up to an hour from the time the machine starts, so the service will fire it up. But then within that, after it starts, then it randomly waits up to an hour as well. So we may be looking, you can look at up to 2 hours for Munki to fire up. There's a way that you can create a file in /user/shared hidden file that when Munki runs, it sees that, and it skips that whole delay process and just fires up. And then installs, and it does everything for machines.
You didn't have a D key, did you?
Oh, sorry?
The D key on your keyboard?
I think that's check now. All right. Is there a question over on the side? Yeah.
So how's your asset scope getting involved with stuff you like?
Did you have to fill the warehouse up again?
Yeah. Fortunately, the actual swap happened over winter break, and our warehouse manager was off for 2 weeks, so he took over every last spot on the floor in the warehouse with eMacs and iMacs and Mac Minis, and I've got some pictures at the end showing what the warehouse is like.
How far away is the warehouse from the school?
Some of them, a couple of the schools are 3 or 4 miles, a couple of them are closer.
Just because they got built moving around,
Yeah, it was, we needed a forklift to get the stuff off the track, and so we didn't have room in any of the buildings to be able to set up an imaging station anywhere.
Where were so many of the notebooks?
We wanted portable devices. So, part of the reason was, we had all these eMacs and iMacs and everything, and with state testing, we're going to have like a 3-week window for everybody to test. We actually did four machines per classroom in the elementaries, plus a teacher machine. But then we also did some mobile carts, so that they can wheel a cart into the room and have 30 machines for the kids to use. The other reason was, if this classroom isn't using the machines, this classroom needs 8 machines, 10 machines. They don't need the full cart. They can go to their neighbor classroom and say, "Hey, can I borrow your machines?" So we just wanted that portability.
How do you update your cards?
How do we update carts? That's part of the drawback with this. The machines have to be on. So, but the nice thing is Munki doesn't require administrative access. So, if you have older kids, we can walk them through firing up managed software applications to installs themselves, or doing the unintended installs as well. That kind of helps. And as long as the machine's on, it'll grab it.
Try it.
It should have been on. And it's showing the alternate display on my machine.
It's showing it, okay.
Yeah. So it sees it. Looks like maybe they're on the phone.
How many machines did you image at once?
We were doing 10 at a time, just because of the amount of space we have. So I would have loved to have done more, and we actually thought about trying to set up like in other
Big
places.
switches or something?
Yeah. So
Basically around the clock, and you
was
might end up being basically around the clock for your team.
yeah.
How many people do you have doing that?
I'm sorry.
How many people do you have doing that?
6. Yeah. So if you could see the display, it would say back to the drawing board. Look, good drawing. And as I mentioned, Munki and Reposado, our servers were at our data center, which was at our high school, which, as I mentioned earlier, was over a 20 meg link. So now I'm trying to push, 10 machines, 400 or so megs worth of installers, plus the 1082 combo update plus iTunes since 7. Now we're looking at over a gig per machine. And I'm trying to do 10 machines at a time over 20 megabytes. So, some of our options, we could have moved everything to our high school or data center. But as I mentioned before, all those machines, we didn't have room for it. And we'd have to move them twice. We'd have to move them from our warehouse to the high school, and then from the high school out to the building. And we didn't have time. We just did not have time to move them. The other option was I could change how we were doing things. The option, what I ended up doing was I mirrored our Munki repository to our local building, and then use some of Munki's configuration options again for preflight script. I changed the Munki preflight script and deployed it with Puppet. So now this is one of those situations where having both tools to manage systems is a very good thing. And as I mentioned before, I'm using Puppet to manage the state of the machine, Unix scripts and stuff like that. We're setting the package URL through Munki, which is very nice. It's very nice to be able to say this is your main server, but get your packages from this server or your catalogs from that server. Very granular in how you can set that up. And I set that based on the IP subnet. So if I'm in my building, it pulls from my server. If I'm in our high school, it pulls from high school. Middle school, it pulls from middle school. This first batch of 10 machines really helped in how mature this solution has become. Had to go wrong to be able to fix it. And then I disabled Apple software updates. So you know what, you can deal with 10.8 for a while, you can deal with whatever version of iTunes is on the machines. It's not that important to have the latest Apple updates. So we went from 5 or 6 hours for that first batch. I got everything switched around. Now we were at about 8 or 10 minutes to bootstrap 10 machines at a time. Now, you can deal with that. Now we're looking at 2 minutes or so for DeployStudio to run, 5 minutes or so for the first boot process, 8 to 10 minutes for Munki to go, and it was about 8 minutes for student machines, so about 10 minutes for staff machines because they got Office 2011, so it was big and soft. So now, I tried that.
You get under there and check that. You won't get away.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Alright. I was selling at Marshak yesterday out of the ball field. We looked at from the time we got a machine out of the box. From the time we got a machine out of the box until we put the machine back in the box was somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. And we would do 10 machines in that 15 minutes. So to do 1,250 machines, we're looking at, on average, 2 minutes per machine. So you can do the math out. It still took a while, but we still got everything going.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
On the logistics, I know you said you were a 6-person team.
Mm-hmm.
Was it kind of a free-for-all, or you kept the same power core? I mean,
Yeah.
how did you conceptually deal with the physicality?
Sure. On that table, I don't know if you can see it. We had power cord and network cable taped to the table at each spot. So we just, dropped the machine in, plugged it in, opened it up, took the little tissue paper off, turned the machine on, hit the in key. So it was just, we had very set spaces for each machine, and that's how we did it. Some people were, unbox the machine, set it, we would set them right in front of the machine. You want to set it right under the machine because the magnet from the machine underneath will make the machine on top go to sleep. The lid is closed. We learned that the hard way. So I was like, wait a minute, what just happened here? So
it was a factory process where you guys just there was one or two people just unwrapping, unboxing,
Right.
stack. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And we kept each box of 5 together because at the elementary level we were putting 5 machines next to one. So we wanted to keep the asset numbers sequential and so forth. The teacher machine was always the first one of that batch. So we could look at the range of asset numbers and tags on the machine and know this is the teacher machine without having to open it up or something like that.
So you
Did it
put
run
physical
out
tags on the
PhD
machine as well?
leases?
No, I set it to like an hour.
Oh,
I set it really short.
Alright.
Yeah. So, yes, sir.
So you were putting physical tags on the machine as well?
They actually did that prior to when we were doing the image. So
Okay.
they actually came out of the box twice.
Okay.
So, we got the machines, I want to say a week or a week and a half before we actually started imaging. So they went through and tagged. Some of them we did tag as we kind of caught up, because not only were we inventorying them, we were imaging them, then we were deploying them. And we kind of got held up because all of us went out to deploy the machines. Some of the prep work started lagging. So there were times that we actually took the machine out, put the asset tag on it. They had already scanned it and had labeled which serial number was going to be which asset number. And so it was just a matter of matching that up. Not with these. So. And one of our elementaries has a lab, but with widescreen iMacs and everything. Right. And that lab is on the second floor. So again, even though we were in the warehouse and we have a garage door, we could have forklift the machines up to our floor. As many pallets of machines as we had. So, all right. So let's get caught up here. Okay. So now this is what my Munki preflight script looks like. It's probably not as efficient as I could do it. I'm looking at the third octet of the IP address to see which building I'm in. Each of our buildings have 8 third octet numbers. And I pointed to the server in each building. So that's at the top of the script, and then down at the bottom, and as long as I have defined what server I'm supposed to be getting the files from, then I set it in the script as a package URL, and set it that way. If I don't define it, then I assume that it's going to pull its updates from high school, from the master server, then I delete the package URL, so it just uses the big one. Yeah. Our syncing is whenever I make a change to Munki through MunkiAdmin, part of my workflow is our syncing. All the updates out. Yep. Eventually I'll get it automated, but I'm not doing that much and it doesn't take that long. If I'm doing a Firefox 21 install, so our sync, I would think there's 10 times. Exactly. Alright, so I talked about Munki. What about the Apple updates? I said, we're okay with not doing updates initially, but eventually we do want to be able to install updates. As part of the fix, I just disabled the Apple software updates to eventually be online. There's no way to differentiate the software update. This is where you get your catalog, but then this is where you get your actual downloads. And that was kind of the problem. So, Munki, you can set your software repo, which is your master server. You set your packages come from somewhere else. set the catalogs somewhere else, and manifest them somewhere else. So I thought about it for a while, and I thought, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way that I can tell my machines, talk to my master reposado server, and then let the reposado server say, you're at the service center based on your IP address, so I'm going to send you to the service center server for your reposado updates. So using Apache's mod rewrite module, I redirect content downloads, but not the catalog requests to the local repository used by builders. So now I can install Apple software updates over my LAN without worrying about my 20 meg links. Of course, I have to synchronize reposado over those 20 meg links the initial time, and then every time things update type. It's a lot easier to do that overnight once per building than it is for a couple hundred machines to try to do it all at once during the day. And then the .ht access file complements and supplements the OS version agnostic catalog URL redirects that if you're running reposado, you should really be doing this. So you can set one catalog URL on the client, not worrying about what version of OS 10 you're running. Let the server say it's coming from Darwin 11 if it's 10.7 or Darwin 12 if it's 10.8, and doing it that way. So then we synchronize the master reposado repository folder to each of the local servers. We only actually need to get the downloads folder because I don't need catalogs, I just need installers. You can use the synchronization tool of your choice, i.e. like rsync. You've got some other favorite tools you can set. So, why not just set the catalog URL, then the munki preflight to be the server in the building you're in? Seems pretty logical. Well, they're portable machines, and we have a lot of features that go from one building to another, and they shut the machine off by closing the lid. Then they move locations. Munki might want to run while the machine's asleep in transit. So then they try to run, if they run Munki to do the updates, that's fine, because preflight's going to live reconfigure. But what if they happen to have administrator access, which again we don't give them, but what if they do, and they go to Apple software, Apple menu software update, now it's going to look at the building they were in, so now we're going over 2 RAM links, slowing 2 buildings down instead of just 1, and it's kind of a problem. So we would have to reconfigure catalog URL before our software update runs. And I said, I'm just going to do everything on the server. So this is what I came up with. This is the version catalog URL hack that's on the web already. And this is just a regular expression for the IP ranges in this book. So I found Google has a IP range regular expression tool. You tell them what the first net address is, what the last address is, and it spits out the regular expression for it. Then I've got a link in that, or to that at the end. So this is the one and only demo, and I apologize. It's not going to be easy to see because it's on a small screen. But what I'm doing here is I've got my master server out here. I'm going to look at the Apache access file, access log here, the rewrite log, so you can actually see what the rewrites are doing. Then my local server access log, and then the client. So I'm just showing, based on the IP address 10.11.636, it's going to follow in that first rule, and it's going to redirect to server, which is in this window. And then we've got the software update catalog rules that check to see which version of Darwin version is sending the request. So we'll get all the log files shown here, and then we'll run software update. So there's a little bit of lag, but now here's the actual request going to my local server, redirected. We've got a 302 redirect somewhere in there. It shows here the single redirect, and then we come over here, and this bottom line is the actual download from my local server. And then I show that the software update catalog rewrite also is looking. But it's not pulling that from the local server. Kind of, we got a little bit of both worlds here. Alright, so now we've got our machines, we've got a good deployment method set up. You can push software updates, you can push Apple software updates, but we really want to know what's on the machines. If it's not been set as an unattended install, or the users installing the software, and what all software is on the machine, they figure out a way to, install something today, Spotify in their home folder, whatever. For that, I'm using MunkiAdmin, which is very, very easy to install. It takes about half an hour. If that, I started about 10 after 4, and I had it done before I left for work that afternoon. So, it ties in with Munki's pre- and post-flight scripts to do the inventory check, and then the post-flight pushes it out to the server. Shows installed application versions. There's a script that will actually scrub through the library internet plugins folder, so you can see what versions of plugins you have, which is good. You're monitoring Flash Player, Java. Then again, I'm using Puppet because these are scripts, and that's how I've decided that I'm managing scripts with Puppet. So I'll push out my Puppet scripts. I didn't want to actually build the scripts into my scripts, so they sit separately. There's a line in my script that says run that script in mine, and that's what happens. And then this is MunkiAdmin. As you can see, I've got 46 errors, 1,271 warnings. Most of those are because I have the iPhoto 9 whatever update that won't run on 10.8. So I haven't enabled Apple software updates for all my user checks. So it shows a list, shows how many pending installs there are. That means Munki has downloaded the installer to the machine, it's cached it, and it's waiting on the user to get the process of installing. Go in and drill down a little bit deeper on the individual machines, get what kind of machine it is, how much memory. This is one drawback of having a split hard drive. It shows me how much free disk space there is on the boot drive, but not necessarily on the user space. So I've got to figure out a way to kind of monitor that. And then it shows me what manifests, what version of Munki, stuff like that. Shows me this user has selected Smart Notebook, and I've got the Office 2011 14.2 updates that are on the machine, but they haven't been installed yet. And then I can also get a list of all the applications that are on the machine itself. I can also search for individual software titles. So I want to know what Flash Player versions I've got out here. And I've got, at this point, 1288 that were on the latest version, 26 that were on a slightly older version, 4 that were next version on that. So then I can go out and target those users and say, hey, if you're running an old version of Flash, you can give me a software update on the machine that you've updated. So I found them at the unattended install checkbox. one day. And when we initially did our stuff, everything was attended. And I discovered that and I was like, oh, well, that's really what I want to do. I don't want my users to have to manually install software. I want to just kind of do more. So for the most part, everything that I put in Munki now, I check that unattended install. All right. Changes since we initially deployed things. We were coming from machines that had 10.4, 10.5, and on the login screen under the Apple, there was that line that you click to get the serial number, IP address, stuff like that. For support, that was good. You know, if you were using remote desktop and we didn't want to search the network for a user, have them click on there and tell us their IP address. And we also wanted, or they needed to know their machine name. So I found, I think it was, I don't remember who it was, somebody talked about using the login window text area to put like acceptable use policies in that area. And I thought, I'm not really worried about that, but if that's an area that I can dynamically assign information to, I can tell it, show me the computer name, the asset number, which they just turn the machine over and look at, but only easy on them, and the serial number in case we need that. So I rolled that in. Then I found that there's actually login
Like a mood or something.
admin hosting. Yeah. That if you click the clock, it shows IP address, software version, something serial number. So it shows that up there. So now we've kind of recreated that functionality on the login screen. It also shows up on the screensaver screen if you've got require a password to unlock. Then we have this remote desktop issue. We were having an issue at our middle school where students were magically remotely controlling each other's machines and putting very not nice things on each other's screens. So it took me a little while, but I discovered that DeployStudio, when you say enable ARD, it says, okay, sure, and it's going to be for every local account on the machine. Which is fine, except that got a non-administrator account with the password that all the kids don't know. So they were go connect to server, or browsing, sharing the screen, typing in the classroom with no password, and wait, there it was. So had to figure out a way to do that. So I have a script that goes in and says only the specified users, and I did explicitly disable classroom just to make sure, and then I get the two administrator accounts permission. Then I modify the LP-admin group on the machines. Before this whole project, staff did not have machines that they could take home. Now they do. They have printers at home. They want to be able to print at home, but they weren't administrators. So we were getting requests. I need to be able to install printers. So I modify the LP-admin group. I add on the teacher machine based on who the assigned client is on the machine from the help desk. Again, there's that link. I add the individual users to their own machines. And then on the student machines, I say any staff member can do that work. So that if the print job is held out, they can look at it, they can receive print. Stuff like that.
You have the teachers in their group policy.
I have an OD group with all the teachers.
You're doing OD only, not
Yeah.
OD.
Correct. Just
And when you say staff there, you're not talking about the default staff group.
correct. It's my custom. Right. Yep. I think it's actually the teacher group. So other things that we've changed, we've done a lot of Flash, or a lot of applications updates, mostly Flash, Adobe Reader, and Java. In fact, I just looked at 3 of them Sunday night before I edited it here. I haven't looked to see how many have actually installed. I would assume pretty much everybody at this point, because they're all up and Our student services group gets VPN access so that they can work on their IEPs compiling at home. So I have a configuration profile that I built that I have a script that pushes that out. And then a launch agent to make sure that the little VPN menu item shows up. And we're a school district, and schools love the end of the year videos, so they like to give those videos to the kids with ID on a DVD. So when you buy a new machine from Apple these days, iDVD is on it. And on top of that, iLife is the App Store version, which Munki can't update. So I've got a Munki installer catalog and everything that removes iLife what's on the machine and reinstalls with the Intel box version, which includes iDVD, BrowserView, iLive, iPhoto, and iMovie, and then does all the updates for that. So I actually went out and bought the DVD, and then Munki I can tell Munki to say, if you see the App Store version, delete it, and then install the result. So.
They're not really the same. The retail version installs things in the library and such that is not there in the App Store version, so you won't end up with the same stuff if you do that.
That's good, because actually there's what you
Yeah.
debating whether to go back and try one or not.
Can I manually delete?
Munki deletes it automatically. It's all an automated process. It takes about 8 minutes per machine. So download the installer, all they have to do is delete it. It's actually, I mean, I've got it in optional installs now because I don't want to tie people's machines up at the end of the year when they may be running IDE, or it's iMovie or something like that. So when they're ready to do it, they go to optional installs, check the iLife 11 filter.
That's just next program, why don't they put it out?
Yeah.
They don't acknowledge anyone who has PII issues, and everyone comes to the
I mean, there's almost no computer you can buy that you have an option. I mean, you got a batch of this stuff the last one.
Right. That's true. That's true. One of the other things I did was I came up with this, I'm calling it critical mode for Munki for those installers that are intended install. So I know I can set in Munki the install after the state. But before I discovered the unintended install option, we ran into an issue where I was too slow getting Flash installed on the machines before Apple disabled it with X-Protect. So in an effort to cut down on our help desk tickets, I said, let's do this critical mode. It checks on the server, it turns this bug the heck out of the user's mode. And it gets pushed out again in the preflight script. I do a little check if the file says yes. I disable suppress user notifications so the window pops up. Days will between notifications I set it to 0, so every time once you run, it brings up the window. And once they say install, don't let them stop. If it's not yes, then I flip all those flags the other way to make it nice. Things that I had left to do, nested manifests in Munki. As I mentioned, I've got 40 or so manifests, but for the most part, I'm installing Firefox on all of them. I'm installing Chrome on all of them. I want to include my, kind of my standard manifests and all of my custom manifests. That'll let me modify one instead of all of them. I want to turn on Apple software updates for all my clients so that they can get updates. Set up a test group so that we can do kind of guinea pig stuff. And again, I'm going to use the help desk to do that. But then there's kind of this more important option. Right now, our Munki server is not in DMZ, so when our staff go home in the summer, Flash gets updated, X-Protect gets updated, they have an old version of Flash, they can't install the new version, that's not going to work very well. So I've got to get my servers out in the DMZ so that these users are using their machines over the summer that we can do. Yes, sir.
This is a question for you and the general audience. Are people really concerned about getting Flash up there? Or, I mean, like what we talked about is just putting Chrome on it, which has Flash built in. You know, not saying don't use the other browsers, but you have to look at Flash.
That's an option.
I mean, it's just such a losing battle.
Right. Yeah, I've not thought of that, but that's a good option.
I'm just curious.
It takes all of 2 minutes to put the package into Munki and put it in. I don't even repackage it.
Right.
I just dump the embedded package. I don't care if the updater breaks.
Sure.
System preferences.
Okay. So, yeah, man, that's an option.
Yeah.
All right, so you probably want to see what the end result was, right? So this is, what we came off of. Students sitting in front of these monster machines, and then we replaced them with nice, small 13-inch MacBook Pros running 10.8, so now we can install the latest version of software. And
That is a great line.
But those were great machines.
If you need an artificial freeze.
so,
They were pretty priced. You got a really high resolution.
Okay.
yeah.
The Fedbris was one.
But I can't believe you're still using
We were to the point of
Had back surgery.
we were at the point of things would come back to our office, and if it was the display that was bad, and we had a logic work on another machine, we were swapping parts all over. But then after winter break was all done, and we had all this stuff back in our warehouse, we had to clean it up so the warehouse manager wasn't mad, and that's what it looked like. They were stacked up nice and shrink wrapped, and had some company somewhere come with a big semi and pick them all up. We were out, so. It was one of the power somebody did that.
What was your funding that allowed you to all of a sudden get rid of 10-year-old eMacs?
I am not sure. Yeah. For what I was told, it was a textbook adoption. Like they were kind of keeping money here, keeping money there, kind of thing. Yeah. So.
I'm asking what you'll be presenting on 3 years.
Battery management?
No, life cycle.
Oh, life cycle
You
management.
just replaced damn near everything you deployed.
Yes.
In one
In
shot.
one year. Yes.
Did you stagger leases or?
We bought them outright.
Okay.
So, and that is a question we've had, and
You're doing this again already.
we're gonna eventually repeat this.
Back in 10 years. 10 years
Yeah.
you're new.
Right. We'll be replacing it with something small. In the past, we've done kind of a 5-year recycle plan where each of the buildings chipped in money to this big pot, and then we replaced kind of stagnant. But then we got into this situation of we've got Mac Minis, we've got eMacs, we've got
I just wondered about like a staggered buyback. Because Apple buyback rates are actually pretty good.
Right.
Buyback at 3, buyback at 4, buyback at 5, but it's decreasing.
So
You've already done all the labor on infrastructure. You clearly know how to do this.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a question for my boss, and my boss's boss, and then the superintendent. So yep. All right. Anybody else have any other questions? Yes, sir.
I was just interested in hearing your decision about what was on the Puppet side of the line and the Munki side of the line. And for my money, I see printers as more of a configuration as opposed to a software thing. So
Sure.
we decided to put it on the Puppet side of the line. I was wondering why you decided to put it on the Puppet.
We did it in Munki to enable self-serving, optional installs for staff. to be able to, pick a printer. Like our staff that move from one building to another, I don't install any printers. They just get all the options and they go in and they pick them themselves. So that was really the. I agree.
We have logic built on the subnet, as you did with the package URL, which decides which printers you get. Would you be able to come up with a similar thing? Would that not be possible in your environment?
That we could have, yeah. I mean, I just decided to kind of. I've got a blog post kind of in the works that will link to all the different places that I pulled information from to make this big system work. I'm on Twitter and then my website. So yes.
I just have one tip. It probably didn't matter for you because you're only doing 10 at a time. But we had 1,500 MacBooks to image. We found that a bolt with a few washers on it, in a room where you're imaging 50 or 100 at a time, you have only one person in there, saves hours and hours of time. So you set it on the N key and
we've done that in the past.
It's easier to come by.
Yeah. Well, we work. Our warehouse is us, food service, operations, which is transportation and maintenance. So we have access to all the maintenance stuff. So we had these big lag bolts at one point. So, but yeah,
I don't get it. Just hit the N key.
Yeah, just hold it,
you don't have to hit it.
and then you want to make sure it's on
Find it. Just hold it down.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Since you did actually get the old one with the optical drive, how did you set the DVD?
We did. So.
I've got a package.
Yeah, I after Sam's session yesterday on Etsy authorization, I used Puppet to change that file and let the staff do it.
So you can actually allow that.
Yeah.
They're using Puppet to change that. I guess that begs my question, because nobody else will like. If you had this to go again, would you continue to use Puppet, or would you incorporate more of what he's done with tailor-less packages and monkeys and just skip Puppet altogether?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, I mean, I kind of like the idea of managing the state of the machine with Puppet, because I can take it back to the way I want it versus Monkey's only going to run the installer. Right. Right. So that's kind of,
I'm a fractional contract admin, so I'm pre-filling command and order, and I'm looking at everything I have to administer. I want to thought it would be possible to load it and get it and just have one less thing to babysit, because I'm not there all the time.
yeah. Right. All right.